Right now, all the things that are open on this Dante controller are not going to be exactly the same as what is on y'all's. You have a little bit different controls, probably different computers as well. And we'll look at later, these can be named anything, so don't pay attention too much to the names right now either. So the first thing to look at here is we have transmitters and receivers. So Dante is a digital patch bay, essentially. And if you're not sure about like what a patch bay is, patch bay would be like a physical unit where you can route one sound to another channel, basically. So I kind of explained that in the intro video, but this will hopefully show you practically a little bit more what that looks like. So looking first here at transmitters, so this is where sound is coming from. And you have a row of different computers and systems, boards, where sound is coming from. And then here you have receivers. So this is where you're actually routing everything to. You can filter those out up here if you want to type in a certain name, but you shouldn't have, I don't think any campus other than Kalispell has more than like 3 or 4, so you shouldn't really need to do that. If you want to look at what one particular transmitter or receiver is doing, you can click this little plus sign up here. That'll show you all the different channels that are transmitting from this source, and then if there's anything checked, it'll show you down here where it's being transmitted to. So yeah, let's start by looking at where we do have some connections already. And this is just kind of an example that we have here. This is not going to be exactly the same as it is for you guys, but I'm going to go ahead and open all of these up just so we can see everything. It's going to be a lot, but it'll help us make a little bit more sense of things. So, okay, over here with the green check marks, this is where we have connections. So this is just showing us, like on this broadcast audio device, that there's connections on all these different channels. I'm actually going to go ahead and minimize this one because we don't really need it for what we're looking at. But we do want to look at, we could look at the AES, and we do want to look at the strand board. So this is, actually, I'm going to go ahead and minimize this too. I'm going to minimize everything except the strand board. This was just to show you kind of how many channels and connections there are. Okay, and then up here, we see we don't have any check marks coming down this way yet. Okay, so over here from the MacBook, we've got 8 check marks coming from there. Go ahead and minimize these other things here. And wherever we're not seeing connections from, cool. So, looks like the only place we've really got important connections going is between the MacBook and the board, which makes sense because this is where we're running our tracks from. So, if you look down here, like for example, for the strand, we're running tracks from Greg's MacBook. That's what I'm recording on right now. And that's running directly to the board. So that's coming into channels 25 through 33, or 32, sorry. And that's where like all the different tracks, clicks and cues and all that stuff are coming from these channels. So to make sense a little bit of like what's actually happening here, because this is a lot to look at, this is showing this here on the left, this is the receiver, so we're looking at the strand board right now. So this is channel 1 through however many channels are on the board, 64. So this is channel 1 through 64 on the board. Here is channel 1 through 8 that's coming from the MacBook. So this here is showing us like where they're intersecting. And you can actually see that if you look at the yellow box there. You can see this. They're called subscriptions technically in Dante Controller. This is something else you'll see if you watch the certification videos. So basically what this means is we've got from channel 1 from the MacBook coming into channel 25 of the board. So this 25 and 26, this is the left and right of the tracks that we use for the weekends. So if I were to click this, now if I go over to the board, if I start playing tracks from the laptop, I can look on the board and there's not going to be a signal, because I just unpatched those essentially. So that's basically like I just pulled the cables out of the patch bay. So I'm just going to put those back. So now, once they stop loading, now if I go back over to the board, it's going to show that I repatched those, and we're going to get signal again if we start playing tracks. I think down here, I think like 31 and 32 is like clicks and cues. I'm not 100% sure, but the point of that is you want to always make sure that you know where these subscriptions are supposed to be. So like I know that 1 and 2 coming from his laptop needs to go to 25 and 26 because that's our track channels. So this setup might be a little bit different on everybody's board, but the important thing is knowing, and more importantly for you guys, it's the weekend video. So this is where all the stuff, all the sound for the video is coming through Dante. So you're going to want to make sure you know what channels you have as left and right for the video. So for you guys, example, let's say that 25 and 26 is the left and right video channel. So what that's going to mean is this 1 and 2 here coming from whatever computer you're using. If that's the left and right of the video on the computer, then that needs to be lined up with these. So that's pretty much the basics of how to use the controller. This is really more meant to be like a troubleshooting thing, because more than likely, you've probably already made these subscriptions. You probably don't need to really do much more with this. But the idea is if something were to get messed up, like for whatever reason, let's say channel 26 on the board just like wasn't working for some reason. So we moved the right channel of the video down to channel 33. That would be like the weirdest thing to happen. But if it ever did, then, say you move that down there. Okay, now you've got left and right. It's weird the way it's set up, but, you make do with what you got. So say the next week, you don't remember that you did that, or 25 is working again, or something like that. You go and you try to play it, and you have channel 33 pulled like all the way down. So you're like, okay, I only have left channel on the video. What's going on? You can go in here and look at Dante and see, oh, that's right, the channel was messed up, so I moved it to 33. But today it's not messed up, so I'm going to move it back to 26 where it belongs. So yeah, that's just kind of a basic idea of if you were to have any issues with getting sound from your computer to your board, always check the Dante controller. Make sure that everything is patched and subscribed correctly. And if not, then, do whatever you can to fix it, or at least make some kind of temporary solution if, like, for example, if the hardware was messing up, or like I said, like one of the channels was out or something like that. But yeah, that should be pretty much a general overview of how to use the Dante controller. Not going to worry really much about any of these other windows. Most of this is going to take care of itself. But this area is where you'll need to be working at. So just remember that the intersection of the two devices is where all the connections are going to be being made. And you can look at the channels from the transmitters up here, the channels from the receivers down here. That should help you guys out if you ever have any kind of patching issues.